Okay, me and Kitty are here to solve the problem, which is talking about heroes. You guys want to talk about heroes, and I've spent about $500 and the last 40 hours of the last 5 days basically going through and trying to figure out all of this. I've read every hero's kit, including the commons. I've read all the legendaries. I've also thought about abilities and cooldowns. And I think I'm ready to kind of discuss the majority of the heroes, not necessarily in a tier list conversation yet, because I think a tier list probably could be viable in this game, but it's going to require a good amount of work, some details, and probably PvP versus PvE tier lists and breakdowns for different dungeons. So I think that that's something that's going to be a longer term plan. And if you're interested in that, I think we're going to work on that together as a community, and we're going to do that in my Discord. So they'll be in the pinned comment. Now, first, talking to Jimro, discussion about heroes, which ones are goods, which one you should avoid putting resources on, etc. So I want to talk about rerows. When you do your rerows in the beginning, or when you get your rookie summons, as they're called, you get a certain number of heroes. There's only 7 heroes you can pick from when that happens, okay? Hydressa is more than likely the hero you're looking to get out of these rerow summons. The reason being is she offers something in utility that a lot of other heroes don't, primarily being speed down. She's a hero that, while herself is not the fastest hero in the game, she has okay base speed when she's fully maxed out with glyphs, etc. That's something else. You need to talk about glyphs, increased speed, etc. So while some heroes seem really good because of speed down and all that, if you're free to play or you're somebody who hasn't progressed as far in the campaign and you don't have all the glyphs out yet, going first isn't really as viable of an option. So I actually think there's a little bit of counterintuitiveness to picking Hydressa right in the start, because I feel like if you are picking her as a Kraken or a Well, then it makes sense, okay? Because you're probably going to end up abilitying her, glyphing her, and all that fairly quickly, and you can use her competitively in PvP where the speed down matters. In PvE, I haven't seen speed down matter very much at all, because minions aren't really lapping you unless it comes to turn orders of setting up combos, which is something that we can talk about in Guild Boss in another video. So primarily when we talk about Hydressa, the reason that she is so popular at the moment is it's the combo of just basically pure damage. She does ice spears, etc. And then you have the speed down bonus as well, with the passive, where effectively she has a chance to continually splash damage, which is pretty solid damage as well. So she's basically AoE, PvP, DPS, as well as really good in the Ash Magistrate, which is where you get your speed gear, which is once again the most important thing in the game, because going first typically wins. Plus she has triple S tier boob window. So that's Hydressa, which is the first person I wanted to kind of talk about. Now the reason I say that's kind of counterintuitive, the polar, is because of the reason I mentioned, but also because I actually think Evra might be the best hero to start with. And the reason I say this is because if you are in the situation where you're going second because you're not welling or something, or you're starting later in the game, let's say, the people in soft launch are already ahead of you and you're climbing through arena, Evra not only counters blue because she's green. If you didn't know, the affinity is a really big deal. It's a 50% damage difference straight up, as well as there's a chance to deflect is significantly higher if you're the right affinity. So for that reason, Evra can basically poop all over Hydressa because she's the counter. You know, Hydressa is going to do 50% less damage. This chick here is going to do 50% more, and you're going to be effectively dealing with a massive, massive disparity in terms of just raw stats that the game is going to pump at you because of that affinity difference. So in arena, you can go second with her, which allows you to kind of do attack percentage boosts, etc. And then she actually hits really hard. And then there's some cleansing heroes, etc. we can talk about, which then you can kind of go, and we can talk about that a little bit later. But when it comes to the rerows, I might actually suggest Evra for that reason. Plus, on top of it, she being blue or green is one of the only sort of AoE green continual nukers I've seen. If you look at a lot of the other heroes, there's a lot of like blue AoE nukers. We even have like Virgo is an epic that's sort of a blue AoEer. We have Hydressa, we have Tia, Sierra is there. And the thing is, these are people that you can get for free, either from Synthesis or from the altar with fusion. Now, when you go into the altar and you go to Synthesis and you fuse these heroes, when you fuse them, you can fuse them again and again and again, I've been told, okay? So for that reason, you could max affinity out a Tia, who is then going to be your sort of go first PvP person, which might be as good, if not better, than Hydressa, due to the fact that Tia also has your AoE freeze in the long term. On top of it, the speed that she has is going to be better, allowing her to effectively go quicker than the Hydressa, which will be, once again, an easier way to land. Now, there's one other thing to keep in mind about this hero. Because of the Frostbite passive, they're going to get negative speed too, so you do kind of get your speed down in a way from her, but it requires them to go first, which is why she's slightly more overrated than I think is fair, because she's good, but in order for the actual Frostbite to land, the enemies have to be taking turns, and if the enemies are going first, then what's really the huge point in having the speed down anyway, if that makes sense, okay? But what I want to show you here, and let's go to Hydressa, that's where she is right there. So you check out Hydressa, look at the speed, it's 60, okay, it's 95. But if we look at the speed, and we go and we look at Tia, it's 115. So that's a 20 speed difference, which is like a 4-star maxed out boot, for instance, 30 speed. Okay, 20 speed is more than a full set, a speed set. And for that reason, Tia will beat Hydressa going first. And she's farmable, meaning, in my personal opinion, for PvP, maybe Tia is a little bit better than Hydressa anyway. She also does the AoE, which is really good for the Ash Magistrate, and because she freezes when she does, in fact, AoE, and if you don't kill the minions for the Ash Magistrate, even though you kind of do need to kill them, then they'll be frozen and can't do the joint attack. The other thing is, if you freeze them, and then you have the other hero, which is free that you can get, which is Sierra. Sierra's passive that triggers when people get below 50% HP, will then go out of turn and do more AoE damage to capitalize on the freeze that Tia did, which then gives you double damage on Frozen. Because if you didn't know the way Frozen works, that's actually the way it works. So if you look at Tia here, and when somebody's frozen, target's unable to act and takes 50% more damage, so excuse me, not double, 50% more is what I mean. Attacks on the target have 50% chance to remove this effect. So you get 50% effective damage bonus, and then also in Arena you can take defense down. So if you're starting with Tia as a free-to-play person who started Evra, your turn's going to be like Tia, defense down, AoE freeze into Evra, AoE, get another rage stack, okay? And that is sort of going to be your opener. And then Sierra out of turn after you get your AoE from either Tia, and then your big damage going from Evera, since she's the correct affinity against most of the people. And that's the other thing. Tia's blue against blue, so you should be able to land this. And then Evera's green, so she'll hit more damage on top of the frozen already. And then you have Sierra come in to mop up with the 50% damage on top if someone hasn't already be one-shot. So you don't need the speed down necessarily to go first if your Tia's going first and your landing freezes. On top of it, in Arena in particular, you have to keep in mind that abilities are not required for an individual turn. What I mean is, when you use an ability, you get to go again. So if I have, like, I don't know, let's just run this comp, okay? And I don't know if I'm going to win this fight or not. A lot of people have straight up better teams than me at the moment, but I'm going to try. And what I'll show you here is that I'll show you what I mean, because this guy's going to go first, okay? He's going to go first. He's going to defense down me. He's going to wind strikes me. Then Hydressa is going to go here. And the whole thing is they go first, okay? And this is what it looks like when your team goes second, okay? And now the turn build, or the team that I have, you can see gets bonus turns from that, is the Zachary and Lydia. So they have a chance to dodge and then counterattack back in with bonus turns, etc. That's the way I went with my team, okay? But here's the strip I wanted to show you. So if you go second and somebody does all these buffs and you're like, okay, well, the biggest problem is Hydressa, let's say, on the team, you can still just strip all the buffs and they're gone and you get your turn again, okay? Now I can just go apply some flat damage to him or something. There's 5k damage. There's Sierra with the AoE, some bonus damage as well. Now I can go my next turn, because he has 2 bonus turns. There does the defense down. Now I'm going to add immunity on him, right? And so what I want to try to emphasize is that speed is the meta for sure. And I'm not discouraging anyone to participate in rushing for speed. But I do believe if any game allows for you to not rush the straight speed only meta, it might be this game, because going first is a huge deal. And you can see she got revived and all that. And being able to get the defense down, etc., is a huge deal. But in order to go first, you have to sacrifice a lot of stats, which means they're going to be weaker on the attack and you can be stronger on the defense. So just keep that in mind when it comes to the discussion of the power levels of heroes, okay? Now, she's rezzed and will die after 1 turn, so I'm going to kill this person here. Use my Lydia. Lydia is going to be disgusting when she's 5-star. Let's talk about Lydia real quick. So Lydia in particular is a hero that I think is a well hero. She needs her 5th ascension, which gives her 20% more dodge on top of the 20% dodge. She just gets flat all the time. And what that is going to allow her to do, let's just see if we can kill him before. See if we can kill him before he gets the turn. Nah, he's going to get the turn off, I think. Oh, it was close. Oh, well, no, we got the turn. There it is. So Lydia effectively allows you to dodge because of the way her passive works. So her passive is going to continually add a flat amount of percentage dodge, and then as her HP gets lower with the 5 ascension, it's going to give her another 20%, and if she has the 5 ascension anyway, it gives her another flat 20%. So effectively, she gets 60% dodge rate when below half health, and the majority of her damage comes from counterattacking when she dodges. Okay, so you see, we went second there. That guy had what I would consider one of what people consider like the optimal speed start teams, where it's Winrex into Hydressa, you know, and he's got Mary and all this stuff. You don't have to have an absolute ridiculous comp. That guy was 1441 rated. I'm 1238 at rank 84. And the very fastest guy, okay, right here, I get bodied by this guy. I've lost against this guy for sure because he goes fast and he has Evelyn Lightborn and then Zatluck and all that, okay? But some of these other teams who go first, if they're not strong enough to pop you off, you're fine. And for that reason, there's an argument to be made that you can start with Evra over Hydressa, and that Tia will eventually be your PvP farmer, okay? So I'm not saying not to start with Hydressa, but I'm saying if you pull Evra, it might not be the worst decision in the world. I hope this was a little bit helpful at least, and that was the goal of this video, to make sort of an argument for if Hydressa is really the best hero to pull. And she probably is, but if you pull Evra, it's a close second in my opinion.